The music is so good. Welcome back to The Weekend. The backlash to President Trump's agenda is continuing to galvanize people across the nation. Thousands of demonstrators took to the streets on May Day, also known as International Workers' Day, to protest against Trump's most extreme policies on immigration, the economy, education. Protesters in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, also voiced their opposition to Trump's commencement speech at the University of Alabama, taking place the same day. Our next two guests were among that chorus of voices, reminding us of the power of every single one of us has to enact change.
Every change in America has come from a movement. It has come from not from Washington, D.C., or even a state capital. Every change in this country has come from a movement that has bubbled up. And you've got to make your voices heard.
We are building public sentiment against which nothing can survive. So remember, you have the power. And we are grateful that you brought that power here today in Tuscaloosa. Let's go out and share it with this country and win America back. Let's do this.
Joining us now, former Congressman Beto O'Rourke of Texas, founder of Powered by People, and former Senator Doug Jones of Alabama, a distinguished senior fellow at the Center for American Progress. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I guess my first question for you, let's start with you, Senator Jones, is this feels different, right? For weeks and weeks, people were saying, where's the resistance? Where's the opposition? Where are the people on the streets, and where are the leaders helping them to get there? What has changed in the last couple of weeks for you guys?
You know, Eugene, I think people are just kind of feeling their voices, getting their footing a little bit. And I want to make one quick correction on you. Donald Trump didn't give a commencement address at the University of Alabama. Those exercises didn't start till the next day. He invited himself to Tuscaloosa, and they had to create an event in which they couldn't hardly get people to come to. They had to open it up to the general public at one point. So this, I think, just even that was the backlash. The fact that the president had felt compelled to invite himself, was not invited by the university. This was just kind of a small piece of what we're seeing across America. And I think people are getting their footing, and they're starting to see what's happening with due process. They're starting to see what's happening with the cuts and how many times Trump is losing in court. And that empowers people to get out to the streets and to start this movement and to keep it going.
And, you know, we obviously are seeing an uptick in protests and some people fighting back against the administration that has eluded us for the past 100 days. But it is a national movement that has not quite flowered yet, is how the New York Times puts it. Former Congressman O'Rourke, I want to ask you a little bit about this. But, you know, the opposition, the Times writes, lacks a leader, a central message, or shared goals beyond a rejection of Mr. Trump, even as some Democrats become more aggressive. Their deeply unpopular party is struggling to articulate a unified line of attack. So what is the line of attack here, and why can't Democrats get their act together?
The encouraging thing for me about what's going on and what we just saw in Tuscaloosa is that those students at the University of Alabama did not wait for the DNC or elected Democrats or really anyone else to tell them what to do. They took matters and our future into their own hands. They organized that protest. They invited Doug Jones and myself. They brought 1,500 people out. And as you mentioned, we're seeing that all across the country. And that's a great thing. In the opener, you had Doug Jones talking about the power is not with the president, it's not with the courts, it's not with the legislature. As Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. With it, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. And public sentiment, we're seeing it everywhere. We're seeing it in Waco, Texas, where I was last week, and in Denton, in Tulsa, everywhere. So I'm very encouraged. And out of that, I think you're going to see leaders emerge, maybe some from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, who will be running in 2026, and they will give those national elected leaders the message. And I believe the message is, we fight for you. But the challenge with that message is you can't just say it, you got to show it, and you got to show up everywhere and fight on every front. And that's why we were in Tuscaloosa this week.
Senator Jones, to this point of public sentiment, and yet public sentiment, according to the polls, the raft of polls that came out last week, shows that the public sentiment isn't exactly with the Democratic Party. NBC News poll shows that the Democratic Party's unfavorable rating is at 60%. In all fairness, the unfavorable rating for the Republican Party is 55%. But in a Washington Post poll that was out last week, folks were asked the question, who do you feel is out of touch? President Trump, the Republican Party, or the Democratic Party? And 69% said that the Democratic Party was out of touch. How does the party get that part of the public sentiment turned around?
You know, I think that one of the challenges Democrats have these days, Jonathan, is to make sure that we not only resist Trump, that we not only oppose this regime that we're seeing, but that we offer a better vision for America. I think Democrats have failed to some extent on that in trying to reach people exactly where they are. Understand that in today's world, all politics is not local. All politics is personal. And that means personal for them and their communities. And we've got to talk to people and understand that that's where they are. But governing and governing efficiently, you know, look, this past week was like the 14th anniversary of an incredible wrath of tornadoes that brought death and destruction across America. Tuscaloosa's and people in Alabama rebuilt. We never asked for what's happening any more than the people of Tuscaloosa asked for that tornado. We're not asked for what's happening now in the destruction of our government and our institutions of government. But we've got opportunities to rebuild. And we need to take those opportunities, and we need to tell the American people exactly how we're going to do it and how we're going to make it more efficient and responsible to what they believe is an appropriate response for government. That's what Democrats going to do. It's a two-step process, and we're going to start working on that very soon.
Congressman O'Rourke, you talked about how this is kind of a grassroots effort, that they called you guys and invited you. They're not waiting on the DNC. They're not waiting on the D-Trip or even you guys or any of your organizations to get this stuff started. But I'm curious, how do you sustain that, right? Because that kind of energy is, what are we in month 4 of the administration? We have quite a bit of time to go before the midterms and before 2028. And so what does it look like to sustain this energy? Because that feels like a lot of that's going to fall on the shoulders of leaders of the party like yourself and the senator here.
I really believe you got to show up everywhere. You got to fight on every front, and you got to be there for every single community that is under attack. I think our party, unfortunately, has gotten lazy and overly enamored of 7 so-called battleground or blue wall states to the detriment of Alabama and Mississippi and Texas and Louisiana. I mean, those are our fellow Americans too. And I don't blame them for saying, hey, the Democratic Party has not been showing up for me, listening to me, fighting for me. So when this pollster asks whether the Democratic Party represents my values, what the hell do you expect me to say? So when we show up and listen and reflect back what we're hearing, I think we're going to engender the support and the enthusiasm that we need. But, you know, the leaders that we have in place right now, with some exceptions, including present company, they're just not getting the job done. And so, again, I'm optimistic and encouraged by people who are taking matters into their own hands. They're organizing these protests and these marches. And we know from American history, whether it was John Lewis at the Edmund Pettus Bridge in 1965 or our pushback against family separation in 2018, that public sentiment, the power of people, can change what presidents can do and make this country better. And so it's going to be tough, but we are going to get through this, and we're going to be all the better for it, thanks to the people of America.
You just really quickly, you said that the leadership basically wasn't getting the job done. So should people like Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, should they step down from leadership?
You know, when you look at Chuck Schumer just as a specific example, and you had that continuing resolution, that government funding bill, which is really just a giveaway to Elon Musk and Donald Trump after they had decimated government agencies, illegally impounded congressionally authorized and appropriated funds. Every member of the House Democratic side stood strong, but for one, Chuck Schumer signaled he was going to do the same, and then lost the only leverage we had, that unity, and surrendered to Trump and Musk. The battle line in the Democratic Party right now is not between moderates and progressives. It's between those who are going to fight and those who are going to surrender. And if you're not willing to fight, get out of the way and allow someone to step up who will.
Senator Jones, in that vein, I mean, who do you consider to be the de facto leader of the Democratic Party?
Oh, I think there's a lot of leaders across the party. I think, you can't point to one national leader at this point. I think you're looking at seeing a lot of governors push back. You're looking at a lot of former members of Congress like Beto who are pushing back. I think Beto had the right tone a few minutes ago, and he said, look, this is a movement in which leaders are going to emerge. We will see that. And it's not just fiery rhetoric. It's getting things done. It is making sure people understand and getting the messages out there. Showing up, as Beto said, showing up and making sure people are heard. That's the thing people are looking for now. As much as anything, they want people to show up and listen and to make sure their voices are carried. This is going to take a little time. This is not something you can just snap your fingers and all of a sudden pop, there's a leader, popping in the door. That's just not the case. This is going to take a little bit of time, but I think what you're seeing in this first 100 days is that now those leaders are starting to get their voices, they're starting to emerge, and they're starting to learn lessons that are coming from the American people.
Real quickly, Congressman O'Rourke, I take Senator's point, it'll take a little time, but should national Democrats get used to the fact that they're not in the driver's seat and that this is coming from the ground up?
Yeah, and that's a great thing. Again, I think so much of our misfortune can be tied not to Donald Trump, not to the Republicans, not to the MAGA movement, but to Democrats being lazy and focusing on consultants and polls and focus groups and message testing instead of being with the people that you want to serve. And you can't just be with them in Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin. You got to be with them in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and El Paso, Texas. And so that's what I'm seeing. And that's what's encouraging to me. And if the Democratic Party wants to win, they're going to listen to those people who right now are showing the leadership that this country so desperately needs.
Former Congressman Beto O'Rourke and former Senator Doug Jones, thank you both very much.